Kids learn faster than adults. Is it true or is it false? Being smart and understanding how things work isn't enough to be able to learn how to play the piano. Hi guys, my name is Greta. I'm a pianist and a piano teacher, and this is a BlahBlah with Greta, when I'm just sharing my thoughts. I'm sharing my experiences in a free form, so a bit different than an edited kind of information that you could see on YouTube videos. I'm just talking. I think that's called a podcast. Okay, today I'm sharing my thoughts on adults learning to play an instrument. Adults learning the very beginning, the basics of an instrument. Since I started teaching, I have a lot of adult students, and there is a common belief that adults are learning slower than kids. And I used to think that as well, right? Because you think, okay, if you didn't learn to play since childhood, then you are not that good. And while some things might be true, maybe some motorical things, maybe your hands and your body might not be able to do some things as natural as if you learn things as a kid, I had to analyze this a bit. So, is it true that children learn faster than adults? And I came to the conclusion that no, because there are different types of learning involved when it comes to children and when it comes to adults. So the first thing I want to discuss is about the implicit and explicit learning. Implicit, I know it kind of sounds complicated, but it's not. Implicit learning, it's when you don't think that much, you just repeat the same task over and over again until it works. And it happens a bit naturally, it happens automatically. You learn how to automatically do some stuff. You could say you learn how to ride a bike implicitly. You don't sit and calculate how you would, on which angle you would put your foot and at which angle you would put your leg, and then at one point exactly, you just try until it works. Up until a certain age, kids learn everything implicitly, and the language itself, they don't know grammar, they don't know stuff, cannot explain things, they just repeat, they know it, they hear it, they practice it, and they know it, and they do many things this way. And the older we get, the more we try to explain what exactly we're learning. So the older we get, the more we have to become explicit in our learning. And that's why teaching a child wouldn't be very smart to sit and explain to that child how it works. It's better to teach children by doing, by try again, make them feel, make them experience stuff. And then when they are a bit ready, and when they can do things, when they already know the things, you can explain it to them and then they can understand it. I'm teaching both kids and adults, and I even have the same method that I'm using for kids. And then I have the same method, but it's adapted for adults, basically. So for kids, the level you achieve by the end of the method, basically, you have to go through 5 books. And for adults, you have to go only through 2 books. And in general, for adults, the methods go much faster. Adults can retain more information at the same time. For adults, it's just also easier to explain things and they understand. I noticed that for kids, the whole process of learning an instrument in general lasts longer. Maybe some tasks, maybe some small skills the kids would learn faster, but in general, the kids spend much more time learning to play that instrument. So they spend, let's say they start when they're 7 and they play it until they're 15 or something, because they do it weekly. They don't even ask questions. They do weekly piano lessons, practice. But then by the time they're 15 or, when they're teenagers, they've already been doing it for years. While adults start and then they expect many times to, over a year or 2, to be able to play at a level. And obviously their physical aspect of playing the piano will differ because they haven't spent 7 years. And I'm sure that if they spend 7 years or 8 years or 10 years, they will get close to that level. And also depends how much time they put into it. So from my own observations, kids aren't learning faster. And actually, in fact, because they're learning things implicitly, I am forced as a teacher to repeat many times the same thing because many times kids are not aware that they have to memorize things. And you have to repeat many times, and then at one point they just remembered. Or I have to make them repeat many times the same thing until just it makes sense and they remember it. So basically, they're not aware what they're doing. Eventually they learn without knowing how. And on the other hand, adults are super aware, super explicit about their learning, and they have the intrinsic motivation. Then they know that they have to put the time. They know exactly what to do to make things work. But I think there is this thing that adults are actually missing. So I think adults are too much... adults in general, I think, are very... Because they're smart, okay? Adults already know things. They know how things work. They know a lot about themselves and stuff. So they create some kind of expectations. Many times, I think adults are not aware of the importance of also implicit learning. I figured that many of my students think that if they try hard to understand how things work, then it will happen. But things are still very physical. When we play an instrument with our body, we play our instrument with our hands. And we need coordination many times. And many times it's literally about the coordination. It's about being able to move your body the way you want on this rhythm. So it's not, you can try as much as you want to understand how things work, and it won't happen. And as an example, I could tell you an example. If I'm telling to a child, play right hand louder and left hand softer, what are the children doing? Children are just trying, and it doesn't work, and they try again and they try again, and then they feel a bit, oh no, it's the other way around, oh no, again. So they try until it works. And what happens when I'm telling this to adults to do for the first time? Adults are like taking forever to prepare. So they might be like, okay, so this hand loud and this soft. Okay, I'm ready. Okay, and I'm like, okay, just do it. And they think, no, but it's not I cannot do it. I'm like, yeah, you cannot yet, but you have to just do it now many times until it will happen. So I'm like, you're not supposed to do this from the first time. I'm telling you to practice this until it will work, you know? So as if adults think that if they understood logically what they're supposed to do, and they understood, okay, here I have to push harder, I have to go deep, here I have to be lighter, then it will work. But no, it won't work, because you still have to try many times. You still have to put the repetition in. And this is, I think, what adults are missing when they start to learn to play an instrument. I think adults are they want to be careful, and they know that, yeah, you have to be smart, you have to prepare mentally to do it, you know, you have to do all these things. And I think that's why, but this stands in the way sometimes. And many times an instrument it's about just doing, you know, you just have to do it, you just have to try it, nothing will happen, just fail, you know. So kids are a bit, they don't care, they don't know why they want to play the piano, they might not know if they want to play the piano. I'm just telling them to do, and they just do it. And with adults, they know they want, and they put all this kind of tasks, you know, and they create sometimes expectations about themselves or about the learning process, and then they are faced with the reality that maybe the expectations are different. I don't know if I told you anything new at all. This is a bit of my observation. So if you're an adult who is learning to play an instrument, and you were new to it, you're at the very beginning, or I don't know, you're intermediate, and you feel intimidated, first of all, don't feel intimidated, because being an adult and starting to learn something new is actually very respectful. very respectful. It's respectful. You cannot compare yourself to someone who's been playing implicitly without even thinking, repeating the same task over and over again since childhood. You are doing good, and being smart, understanding explicitly how things work are very important. I'm not saying that that's not important, but don't neglect the power of repetition, the actual doing thing. That's very important. That's the thing that you should also put lots of time into. Just repeat, and if it worked one time, try to make it until it works 1,000,000 of times, because only then you can say that you can play. Because in the end, playing an instrument is also very physical, and you have to be able to control your body the way you want, and you can understand theoretically anything you want. It won't happen until you make your brain do it. Like, connect it with your body in some way. Let me know if you relate a bit to it, and let me know if you have any questions about this. This was the first BlahBlah with Greta. See you next time. Bye.